But yeah, all right. I've got my care package here to use as a visual aid. Speaking of Cartuned, I've got my little cars partially done anyway. I'll flash some actual pictures of it when the episode airs. But I'm very excited to talk to you about your weathering kits because I'm very happy with how they're looking on these little cars. Good. So, alrighty, David, you got anything before we get started? Say a quick word of prayer.
Just here for the ride. Cheese bags.
All right, man. Let's start this ride in 3, 2.
You're watching DieCast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Well, hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to DieCast Breakdown. We are so glad you're with us today. I am especially glad that we are joined by our patrons, specifically our executive producer level patrons. That would be First and 64th Customs, Dean Self, DrivenDreams.org, Jason, Mad Visions, Mike's Mods and Customs, Reviews Through Another Lens, TWYCE Diecast, thank you, David, and Video Geek Productions, all in beautiful alphabetical order. And if you want to know how you can join their ranks, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com or click the little join button down below. All new patrons get a little shout out at the start of the episode. And of course, our executive producer level patrons get thanked every show because that's about all we can give them right now. We are working on some more perks for you. Hang in there. Life is pretty hectic over here at Diecast Media Network, and we're doing the best we can. But while you're clicking around, and if you go to diecastbreakdown.com, we do have merch. You can see what I'm wearing. Or David. David does not have.
I'm David.
David does not. See, things are tough over here at Diecast Media Network. We're doing our best. David is wearing a Driven Dreams shirt, which is the charity that we are partnered with through Mark, and we are raising 24,000 cars for kids in need around the world. You can learn more about that at drivendreams.org. It's super easy. You don't even have to give any money, although you can give money. You can give money or you can give Diecast, and you don't have to put a stamp on anything. But we would like if you put a stamp of approval on this show by clicking that little like button. See how I did there? Pretty nice. All right. Well, I am not doing this show alone. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. David Johns. David, how the heck are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Always love talking with our guest and hear what he's up to. So I'm ready to find out. This is going to be a fun one, Chuck.
Oh, yeah, it is. And we've been talking dioramas a lot lately, and this is one of my favorite diorama creators. We are joined by Craig of Wetwork Kustoms. Craig, thank you for coming back on the show with us.
I appreciate you letting me come back.
Well, I love talking with you. I love dioramas as a collector. I love cool ways to display my diecasts. And you've got one of the more unique offerings when it comes to diorama supplies, specifically in 1/64, but in a variety of scales. So for those who missed our last time we talked to you, let's describe a little bit about what Wetwork Kustoms is.
We're a scale model architectural and diorama building company. We do everything from your scale model garages to custom buildings. You want to just have dioramas done themselves. And of course, we offer a lot of accessories that you can use to make your own dioramas as well. And we try to tailor toward the realism. We don't want stuff that just looks store-bought. We want stuff that actually looks real when you use it. So we use a lot of real-world materials.
Absolutely. And one of the really cool things, like you said, I can't oversell this part enough, is that you can make dioramas to spec. Like if somebody says, oh, I want to recreate my house or my garage or whatever in a variety of scales, you can do that for them.
Absolutely. In fact, last year, a gentleman had contacted me to do his house, to make it into that he and his wife built a number of years ago, to make it a dollhouse for her. And so that's what I did. And I delivered it, actually drove 19 hours and delivered it in person Christmas Eve.
Oh, amazing.
Wow.
That's so cool. And you've worked with other guests on our show as well. I believe you built a diorama for Anthony Schmidt.
I built one that his mom had contracted us to do and they commissioned us to do. And then a barn that I recently did, his mom purchased that for him to use as well.
Very cool. Well, one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on the show is you've been working very, very hard on some really cool projects. And I wanted to have you tell us a little bit about some of the new stuff that you've been offering lately. Because since the last time we had you on, you've added some new stuff, including some very cool dumpsters that you sent me. I'll flash a little picture up of mine. That's a really cool little display piece, but you've got a whole lot more than just the dumpsters.
Well, we've decided, so for a number of years, I use a lot of the same products. And for a number of years, people are asking me, where did you get this item? Where did you get that item? And I tell them, I make it. I create it myself. It's something that I wanted to use. And I just decided that this year we need to start our own product line, since a number of people have been asking about it. So that's what we've done. We've just introduced a new product line of weathering materials and diorama pieces. And I think that it's going to be a game changer, to be honest with you.
I agree. I'm very fortunate that you sent me a care package, but you sent me this picture of your aged iron paint, and it is so cool. I don't have it right here with me, do I? I do have it right here with me. Look at that. And it's a very cool, great base coat that I really love. So tell me a bit about why this aged iron is different from other types of metal-based paints.
Well, number one, all of our paints are specialty paints, and they're water-based. A lot of people don't like using water-based paints, but try this and you'll change your mind. The one advantage that this has, it can be both brushed on, sponged on, airbrushed. It comes ready to go. Unlike normal water-based paints, acrylic paints, you take it with a brush and put it on, you will normally get the lines, the streaks, things like that. This doesn't do that. It practically self-levels, and you don't get the same water-based problems that you do with any other water-based paints. But if you thin it up and you use it as layer coatings, you can literally, it changes color, and you can make it as deep or as light as you want to. It works pretty much on any materials too. It sticks to everything.
Yeah, I can't wait to show off the customs that I've been using that as a base on, because it is a fantastic, something that really bothers me a lot of times in miniatures is that metal, especially on cars, is a whole variety of sheens and lightnesses, and everybody kind of just goes for that silver chrome or maybe gunmetal if they're feeling froggy, but there are so many different colors on cars when it comes to metal, and more often than not, especially if you're doing weathered builds, everything looks too shiny, too metallic. And this aged iron, it's fantastic for doing, like I saw you did like I-beams and support columns and stuff like that with it. I'm on my custom, I used it as a replacement fender on a car, and it just really has that nice look, almost that warm look of metal that is started to tarnish but isn't rusted yet. It's a really tough balance to get, and I feel like everything is either super rusty or super shiny, and there's nothing in between. I think that's a really cool product that you're offering, and you're making it right here in the good old US of A and shipping it wherever people are willing to buy it, which is also very cool. So folks, support a small business that's doing really cool stuff in our community, and you get a great product as well. And so that's a really cool thing that I'm excited to have you talk more about. But you've also got a rusting kit that is fascinating. It's unlike any rusting kit that I've used so far. So let's talk a bit about that.
We'll be back with more DieCast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of DieCast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today. Here's this week's small channel shoutout.
Von Sale.
If you have a favorite DieCast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com.
Cast Heads Magazine is a digital publication dedicated to enhancing the lives of collectors all across the world by providing information on new models, reviews on brands and diecast accessories like figures and dioramas, throwing light on customizers, photographers and people who contribute to making the diecast world vibrant. Subscribe to Cast Heads for free and look for collaborations with Diecast Media Network at castheadsmagazine.com.
And now back to DieCast Breakdown.
The rust kit I've used for a number of years and obviously decided to bring this out as well. It's a 3-part kit. So you have your base weathering rust effect. So you can put that on. If you want to just leave it like that, and it creates more of just like a surface rust. We then have a black wash that you can put on that'll actually bring the contrast out a little more. And then the third one is actually a powder that we use, which is part of our dusting powder that you use as a texture. So if you want it to look really eaten with rust, you put a little bit of this on while it's slightly wet, and it sticks to it, and it creates a nice textured effect, especially if you're if you're on a model, you can break into the plastic a little bit. If you want to try to scratch up or ding your die cast, you can do that, and it can fill some of that in, and it's got a really neat effect. And there's lots of different ways to use it. And you can, like I said, you can just use it as a single color, or you could use one or two, or use all three, and it's got variances of effects. So, but yeah, it's pretty much, so comes as a 3-part kit. Very simple to use. Anybody can actually use it. Just to give you an example, now I don't build models. I haven't built them in 30 years. But this is like a surface rust that was done with the weathering kit. I literally built this and rusted this in less than 4 hours. So
there we go. Look at that. Let's hold that up just a little higher so we can see it.
How's that?
There we go. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
So you can put it on the tires, and it creates an older look on the tires as well. It all depends on how thick you want to put it on. It basically, think of it as a coating for your base coat. Whatever your base coat is, it's going to use that, and it's going to accentuate that. So let's say you had 2 different colors right next to each other. It's going to vary its coloring based on that. Because there is some true rust in this, it's going to act like true rust. Unlike a lot of the kits that are out there, it's like 6 different color paints, and you have to do this and do that. This is brush on and leave it for 15 to 30 minutes, let it dry, or put a fan on it, and you can have the whole rusting thing done in literally an hour. It's that easy to do. So, but here's another, if you just want to do bits and pieces, parts on a vehicle.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You can just do spots and allow your base paint to come through. And obviously you can do it on your chassis. So it's got a really cool effect. I am willing to put it up against any product on the market, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I believe in the rusting kit, and I've sent it to some people for testing just to get their opinions, and they've started doing reviews and are putting it out there now. And I'm talking average builders, diecast people, and professional builders are all saying the same things. And that's what I was hoping that they would see. So
this is my cartooned submission for the Diecast Heroes cartooned competition that's happening at the end of the month. And I used a chipping paint and just the rust effects. And there's that aged iron fender. There's not really a good light on it, but there we go. I will post some photos of this while we're talking that will show this off better. Hopefully it'll be done by the time I edit this. And I have large multi-step setups when it comes to doing my rust. I think I clocked once doing a weathered build has 51 different steps if I do a full tilt build. So to have it reduced down to 3 basic steps when it comes to weathering, along with a few minor details, like if you want to do streaking or stuff like that, you could add some extra steps in using like a streaking brush, a stiff brush with some water to add some streaks in there. But basic out of the box, it's fantastic. So if you're looking to just get started using weathering or trying it out, it does a whole lot for a very little amount of effort. And it's something that weathering is so easy to overdo. And for this, it's nice because that rust effect is relatively subtle. It does not immediately turn your car bright orange like some washes do. It's got like a nice, more muted yellow almost type tint to it that I like.
Hey, can I piggyback off of that real quick?
Yeah.
Guys, Craig, first off, I love where Wetwork is going. It seems like we're headed toward a one-stop shop for anybody that has anything in miniature that they want the realistic experience. So coming from a noob or a rookie perspective, when someone contacts you and orders that 3-piece rusting kit. If they were to ask you, hey, this is my first time to ever try this, do you have maybe a direction you can point them or your own resources to help them get started? Where would you point a noob to try their hand at this?
Well, I know that I'm in the process of putting up the reviews onto my YouTube channel, along with because there's some different tips and things that I've learned over the years working with it that I want people to learn stuff on their own, because then they can find something unique. But at the same time, for a noob, I want to have tips that they can just jump into and try themselves. So I'm going to be putting those up onto my site. In fact, I'm in the process of doing that, gathering all that stuff together so I can send it to that. For the most part, I just go on to any of the social media channels, any of the groups, look at what people are doing and how they're doing it. The issue that I have found over the years is that a lot of people don't want to talk about how they do things. It's a close guarded secret. I get people all the time that are messaging me, calling me, saying, hey, how do you do this? And as long as it's not a trade secret or something that I'm trying to patent, I'm more than happy to tell people how I do it. Because if you don't tell somebody how you're doing something and something happens to you or you stop doing it, that's lost until somebody figures it out.
That's right.
And we want to pass down this stuff to the next generation, to the noobs maybe trying to get into doing this. This can be fun. Now, on another note, as far as diecast goes, so there is one caveat to the rust, and that is because of the gloss that's in with the metal, you've got to either paint over that, or you're going to need to buy some deglosser, and you can get that at any home improvement store, just to get rid of that gloss, because it doesn't want to adhere as well as it should. It'll still do it, it's just not as good as it really can be. So for anybody watching that does diecast and you're interested in this, just to let you know, that's what you want to do. Either sand off the gloss, paint over it, or go ahead and get some deglosser.
I usually use a matte paint when I get started anyway, and if I'm going to do shiny. So the matte paint that I'm using on like this one, I didn't have to do anything on surface prep on it. Now, the chrome pieces that I did, which were shiny, it did have a little trouble adhering to that, so I did have to rough those up just a little bit. But it does work. It does take to it. So you just have to know your surface tensions, and yep, there you go.
So you can see how the chrome it'll adhere and not adhere.
There we go. Yeah. So and it actually is kind of cool because it creates kind of deposits and areas like how chrome does actually corrode, which is it'll do it in bits and spots, as opposed to the entire thing rusting uniformly.
One thing I wanted to say, and it was mentioned by the professional builder, he said that there's a lot of products out there that have 9 of the 10 things he's looking for. He said this one to him has all 10. The one thing that they're all missing is when you look at rust, no matter who you get it from, there's always a slight sheen to it. Rust has no sheen. This will dry absolutely flat, 100%. The only thing that you have to do is put a flat sealer over it if you want to seal it. And as long as it's flat and doesn't have a sheen to it, and there's a specific one, and I've tested a whole lot. I found one that absolutely will make it look just like you have it.
And there's no sealant on that. It is dead flat going on. And I noticed that too. And that is a problem with a lot of washes, is that there is always some kind of sheen that goes with it just by the nature of whatever dilution product that they put in it. So whatever your trade secret is there, I won't ask you to give that up, but you found a way to make it
crack the code,
lay completely flat. But I wanted to just piggyback off what you said about keeping trade secrets as opposed to, or guarding techniques. And I've said this analogy quite a few times on this show, but Gordon Ramsay is famous for his beef Wellington. That is like his signature dish. And he has given away that recipe dozens of times on just about every show he does. At some point, he's giving his step-by-step guide for making Gordon Ramsay's beef Wellington. And he seems to have no trouble at all filling his dance card or packing out his restaurants. And that's the thing, is like people think, oh, well, if I give away my secrets, well, then that's going to put me out of business. Not necessarily. I mean, the most people that will hire you to do a commission are never, ever going to take up a brush and do it themselves. There's a reason why they're hiring you. They don't want to do it themselves. Stacey David, customizer extraordinaire, expert on trucks and cars and doing hot rods. He'll do these shows where he'll do step by step how to build an engine and how to add these accessories and stuff. And that was his bread and butter for a long time. He has no problems staying employed. People would love to have him work on their vehicles. It can only add to your reputation. If you're somebody that people turn to for advice, they're going to talk about you and they're going to want to know how you did it because people love seeing how it's made. They don't really want to. There might be one or two people that will copy you. And those people are probably just going to be doing some kind of technique anyway. So let them do their thing. They are not going to take any noticeable business from you. It can only help you when it comes to educating. And that's another thing that I really like about what you do is because you are willing to educate and you are willing to put yourself out there. And you've been streaming quite a bit as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, on TikTok, we also started a hobby channel and such that we can show how to do what we do and for the hobbyists to help them. But yeah, I'm trying to get on more. People are very interested in what we do, and I want to show them, how we do it. And I find myself talking to them and explaining more than I do showing, just because I'm answering so many questions, which I'm fine with. I've got no issues people contacting me. The fact that they're showing interest is what I like.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
like, something like my rust, I at some point I'll tell people how I do it. I don't want to do it now because I just brought it out and I want to see how it does. But yeah, I mean, the electronics, I'm not going to tell anybody at the moment, but everything else, I did a video on how I make my trees because my trees look fairly realistic. I want to
No, they're great.
Pass that stuff on and what have you. So all you can do is ask, and I like to share what I do. And if somebody has a question, they can contact me via any of the social media platforms or get my email or give me a call. So I have no issues talking to people. I like it.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages. Diecast Breakdown is produced in partnership with TWYCE Diecast and Driven Dreams Org on YouTube. Check out their channels in the video description and subscribe for more epic diecast content.
Hey, this is Larry Wood.
This is Derek from Honest Diecast.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2.
This is Mike from Gaslands.
The SRT Jovita Show.
This is Champion DJ K.
This is Mad Vision here.
This is Diecast Dude.
And you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
And guys, when you see true innovators in whatever craft they are in, and I'm thinking about you right now, Craig, by the time someone figures out that rust thing, you've already gone on to your next 5 innovations. And since we talked to you last year, you've rolled out new products, new techniques. Innovators never stop. They're always looking for the next thing. And a true innovator, like people in our hobby that we've met, they don't worry about someone getting their one big idea, because that one big idea is never satisfying to them. They're always pushing for the next 4, 5, 6 things. And frankly, I can't wait to check in with you on the next episode when you have your next 4 or 5 products. So this is a treat, and I'm hearing the words you say, and really it's a breath of fresh air to pass on that knowledge and make sure that people who are new to the hobby stay interested by pushing themselves to do better customs. And we have a lot of people like you to thank for coming up with these products.
Well, I appreciate it. There's one thing that, and we talk about it on our channel on TikTok, and I really stress this to our hosts, is don't worry about failing. In fact, those that are good because they failed so much and they learned from it. A failure is a learning experience. Don't worry about your friends seeing you mess up. Don't be embarrassed about it. It's something that you'll learn from. I can hide my mistakes. I'm very good at it. I will say that, because I've made so many of them over my lifetime. I've learned how to do it. The rusting kit actually came from that, to help hide some scratches and things that I never could get out of stuff. So try anything. I got some ideas down that I'm going to be trying here after the show that I'm going to next month. And if they don't work, they don't work. But you know what?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to know unless you try. And even if it fails for me, Chuck could try it and it works for him. And that's great. That means somebody got it to work, and that's fine. But yes, coming up with the new stuff, that's what the fun part is. I just wish there was more time in the day.
Yeah. Now tell me about this event. That was something that I wanted to get to, so people make sure if they're in the Florida area, they can come see you in the very near future, right?
Yeah, there's it's called Modelpalooza. I think it's the largest model show in the state of Florida a year. It's going to be in Kissimmee on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. But it's basically a model show. I'm going to be a vendor there. I'm going to have all my products are going to be there. They'll all be there. I am hoping, I'm working on it, but my prototype garage here with the electric doors, with the kit that I'll be selling, should be there, along with the hangar that people have watched for almost a year for me to finish, is going to be there and hopefully working. So we've got a whole lot of new stuff that we want people to come and check out. Obviously buying is great, but I just want to show what can be done, where you can take the scale model and diecast hobby.
Well, and that show is near and dear to my heart. That was a long time ago. That was the first time I entered one of my models, and that was back when I was building 124th scale and 125th scale, and I won a award. I'm looking forward to, hopefully I'll be able to attend. My life is way up in the air right now, but I have it on my calendar as I do really want to attend it. It is a really cool event for those of you who, especially if you're into building the larger scale models. I know they had some smaller stuff. I'm really hoping, as the custom community has really taken off in the last couple of years in 164 scale, that there will be more stuff available for the folks that prefer the smaller scales, like I know a large part of our viewership does. But really quick, again, we've danced around this a little bit, but I want to make sure that we talk a bit about that garage door of yours, because in case people have missed previous episodes or haven't seen your TikToks, they need to know about your crazy garage door stuff that you're doing.
So it's going on 3 years now, or 3.5 years. I had designed automatic garage doors, electric garage doors in scale. And I have been developing those. That was an above the ceiling one, so that the garage doors disappeared above the ceiling. Well, most people have one hanging off from their ceiling. So for the last couple of years, I've been working on making a kit that people can buy, that they can install themselves in their garage or can build around it and what have you. And I actually finally I've got to make some small changes to it, but I've actually got my prototype, which is going to be going into this one. The difference is it's all metal. It's not resin printed. It's not plastic. It's metal, because I want it to be as close to the real thing as possible. The center bar and everything is just like what's in your garage. And the whole system, when it's on there, I'd say that 80% of it looks like what you have in your house.
And let's just say that again. This is a working garage door in 164 scale. Unbelievable.
This was, so it's been a labor of love and hate.
Yeah.
Because I could have thrown it out there earlier. The problem with throwing it out there earlier is I don't want somebody to get it and have issues with it and really hate it. I want to make it so simple, so fail proof that anybody can install it. They can put it in, have no issues, and have it working. Is there a chance somebody else could come up with it, before then? Sure. But so far, what I've seen out there isn't to where mine was 3.5 years ago. I've seen full garage doors, like back in the 70s, the whole thing opens up. I was doing, mine were all panels, the individual panels like you have. I have seen one or two with the panels, but they had big motors on the roof. So I'm trying to shrink everything down and make it as realistic as possible. And hopefully I'll have this prototype there at the show so people can see it. And if I'm lucky enough, I'll have the manufacturing done where I can at least have some kits there that people can purchase. Otherwise, it'll all be pre-order. But working real hard to get these things out. So I enjoy it. As simple as a garage door is. try doing it as an electric one and see where your mind goes, because it's not as simple as you think.
Mm-hmm.
So, Craig, will you have a miniature garage door control that you clip to the sun visor of your 1/64 scale auto?
Well, you have to have a pair of tweezers to hit it, but I guess we could just make it sensor operated. But just to give you an idea too, the Hangar that I mentioned that I'm going to be bringing is going to have automatic doors that open, and it's going to have a system that's going to pull the airplane out of the hangar automatically.
Oh my gosh!
And the propellers will be moving.
Head of the class, indeed.
Well, I look at life and I want to say, how can I shrink that down?
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
And you do a fantastic job at that. And again, and I also want to remind people, you can visit Wetwork Kustoms and get some pre-made, well, not pre-made, but they're
build your own,
mass-produced, build your own, thank you, kits that are available. And those I've got one that I've been itching to build, and I will as soon as I move, that has the segmented garage doors. And I remember I got it a year or two ago from you. It's been a while. And the thing that really stood out to me was, even with these basic kits, and they're reasonably priced for what they are, I think very reasonably priced, but you have this thing that not any other kits have at that price point, which is those segmented garage doors that have the nice little track that they go into, and they're manual. I can push them up and down, but they look fantastic. And when they're detailed, look very realistic. And you've got this nice look where you can have a garage door kind of part way up or down. And the garage kit that I have, it may even, those kind of garages sometimes do have manual doors, so they wouldn't have a motor. That would be something that somebody would walk up to and do the little roll up thing. So again, I can't emphasize enough how much people should go over to Wetwork Kustoms and check it out. He's on the Wall of Fame, people. He's back there. See him?
There he is,
right over my shoulder. So there's a reason that people are behind me, and that is one of them. So again, very excited about what's going on in your world and the way that you're kind of growing and innovating the hobby. And have you noticed anything particularly different when it comes to what people are looking for in the different scales? Because we talk mostly about 1/64 scale, but you work in a variety of scales. Is there something unique about each different scale as opposed to what people are looking for?
I mean, really what I'm seeing now is more people are wanting to make these things look as realistic as possible. It's not just about throwing popsicle sticks up and making a house. They actually want to find a way, as best they can and experienced as they are, to try to make it as realistic as possible. The realism is really taking off. People that normally don't do dioramas just do something like the truck, where it was just put in a little field and it looks like it's rotting there. They're they're wanting to create the scenes, things that I've been doing for a long time, because it adds to it. But you have collectors. There's one product that I've started sketching. I won't mention on here what it is yet, but for those that are collectors that are concerned about keeping them in a clean location, what have you, but still want to have it in let's say a diorama or a scene, I'm going to be able to incorporate all of that in a different fashion, where you can put your vehicles in a safe location and put it in a scene. It can even look like it's moving, create power, energy just within that little area. Because to me, when you look at something, if it's just sitting there, it's not doing anything, what fun is it bringing you? But if you can bring something to it, put something behind it, give it that energy, and especially if you're doing it yourself, it really it makes you feel good. It makes you want to do more. It makes you want to invest. And like I said, there's people like me, and there's others that, if you're wanting to do this, contact us. We'll do the best that we can to explain it. I've seen some people that I've talked with that are doing some stuff now that's just phenomenal, and that's great. And I'm talking younger kids, and that's what's fun. So anything that anybody that can do in this hobby that they can pass on, do it. Get that next generation excited about it. Get them involved and have some fun, because that's what it is. I mean, this is my day. I get to do this every day, 14 hours a day sometimes, but it's every day. So it's a lot of fun.
Definitely worse ways to spend 14 hours.
Yeah, I think one of the easiest ways to get somebody hooked is events like you're talking about. Like while you guys were talking, I looked at that Modelpalooza, That's October 11th through the 13th. If you're in the Orlando area, if I'm understanding where Kissimmee is, you can drop somebody off at Disney if you need. But how fun is it to bring a child to a model convention? $5 gets you in. If I'm reading this right, you get to meet guys like Craig, and maybe open, someone not in the hobby, open their eyes up at an event like this is really cool. What else, Craig? Have you been to this event in the past? Do you know maybe? Okay. Do you have any idea maybe the scope of the other vendors and stuff?
So what I do know about it is, so I have a friend that used to be a vendor, Adam, and then I have another friend that used to enter the shows and is actually a best of show winner at one of these, actually multiples. And what they've told me, because I haven't gone to an event as Wetwork Kustoms, I went to one 1/64 scale event, but I haven't been to one like this. But what I've been told is, so you have people that are selling models inexpensively. You have people who are doing the diorama stuff. You have people that are doing that are selling built kits. You have the show, so you can go and look at all the people that have entered the show. So there's a whole various group of vendors that are there. You could literally get people selling the paints and such like myself. They'll be selling paints, weathering kits, things like that. You literally could walk in the door with nothing and could leave with everything you need to play all weekend. So, but I will say that a lot of people go at the 11th is only open 2 hours to the public. Saturday obviously is all day, and Sunday is just till 1 in the afternoon. So if somebody can go, if they're in the area, it's actually, you don't drop them off at Disney because it's going to the main gate of Disney. It's actually at in a ballroom in a hotel on the way to the main gate at Disney. So you could literally go to the model show, leave there, and go to the parks if you wanted to. It's down the same road.
That would be the cheapest ticket that you spend, that you buy that day, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I did spend a dangerous amount of money the last time I went to Modelpalooza, and left with several dozen kits because the prices are fantastic, especially if you're looking for that sort of thing. Because there's people that are unloading their collections as well, and they're letting stuff go for a fraction of what they got them for. And I know because I have done that sort of thing as well. But it's a really cool opportunity. Personally, as a builder, I get so inspired by seeing the other builders out there. I know it can be intimidating to look at it and go, well, I could never do that. And it's like, well, not with that attitude, you couldn't. But if you practice, and it's been at least 12 years since I went to Modelpalooza, and my skills have gotten so much better. And I took several years off because I was building a car in between those years, a real car. But when I got back to building, it's just, you only get better with time. And the people that you're seeing out there that are at the show and putting on shows, they've built dozens of models before that. And if not hundreds to establish that technique. And they've bought fancy paints and they've done this and they've done that. But, start small, start with what you got and just get a little better with each build, build on what you learn. You develop the muscle memory, you develop the eye. It's stuff that miniatures don't necessarily come naturally to most people. There's a lot of things that I learn each time I build. So don't get intimidated, get inspired, and find the builders that you really like. Follow them on Instagram, follow them wherever they are, if they're on TikTok or if they're on YouTube, and ask them questions like Craig, because a lot of times they're just happy to have their work acknowledged and have somebody say, hey, I really like what you did, because they're not doing these to get rich, people. They're doing this because this is their form of self-expression. This is their form of, whether it's therapeutic, it is very much for me to sit down and break something apart and try to figure out how to make it better or build a certain look. They're doing this and putting themselves out there and hoping that other people get something from it. So to hear from somebody, hey, I really like this, how did you do that? That's incredibly validating for many builders. There are going to be a few curmudgeons out there that are going to be like, well, I'm not going to tell you how I did that. And that's fine. You move on. And there's going to be, for every one of those, there's going to be 10 that are going to be like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you like that. Well, let me show you some of the little details that I put on here, or some Easter eggs that I've hidden in the build. And that's always really fun, is because there's a lot of builders that hide little cool details in their stuff. So always look closely. If the builder is around, ask questions, talk to them. And you never know what you'll learn. You can make a new friend. You can find out resources or other things that are happening in your area. I'm jealous of Phia, one of our members at Diecast Media Network, because he's based out of Tampa, and there's always really cool stuff going on there, especially in 164 scale, because they do like live 164 scale custom events, and he works with the people over at Spray Gunner are always hosting really cool stuff. In fact, I think there will probably be an event on the 29th, I believe. Spray Gunner is hosting an event. If you go back and check out Nestor's episode at Spray Gunner, the episode where he talks about his book, we talk about that event as well.
IPMS winner.
IPMS winner, yes, indeed. So another really cool guy that is more than happy to share his techniques with other people that are interested. So again, there's the worst they can say is no or buzz off or whatever, and that's fine. Just let that roll off you. Don't be intimidated. I'm an introvert myself, so I've really had to learn to put myself out there. And it's always with these events, it's great because you can already have a common ground and say, hey, I'm another builder, or I'm interested in building. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you built? And you immediately have that icebreaker conversation starter. So it's very easy for even people who are a little more withdrawn and reserved to get out there, talk to people, and make friends. You've already got something to talk about from the moment you walk through the door.
It is funny what I have found, because I'm in a lot of different groups, is just because somebody builds models doesn't mean that they don't do diecast or that they don't do Gundam or Warhammer or whatever. It's you'll find that a lot of them will cross over. There's a lot of crossover in these hobbies, and to me that's what's fantastic, because you could learn how to do something for your diecast that you learned watching an RC channel. So we're all one big community, and it's really don't think that just because they're in a different part of that hobby or in the hobby community that you can't learn something from them. You can. You may not like RCs, you may not like diecast, you may not like the plastic models, but if they're doing something that you can learn from, you might be surprised. So don't spread your wings, go out and see what other people are doing and get your inspiration out there.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this, but let's talk a little bit more about, because that's really kind of the impetus behind your TikTok streaming channel, and let's tell people what that is and what you're trying to do, because it's a really bold concept, and I'm really hoping that this takes off, because it's a really cool idea, and it kind of dovetails with what we're trying to do here at Diecast Media Network. But let's talk about the TikTok streaming channel real quick.
Well, I mean, it was another channel that I came up with for the hobby community. It actually, normally there's one person, if they do a live teaching you how to do something or sleeping, cooking, whatever they're doing, it's always just one person. So I actually got a collective of what I call hosts, because we treat it like a TV station. We've got some diorama artists, we got some plastic model art people, we've got some diecast customizers, we got some RC guys that do boats, cars, aircraft, and we've got just the regular modelers. We've got people that are beginners, and we got advanced people. But the whole concept of this channel is we're trying to help people learn how to do what we do. We're teaching them. It is think of it as the PBS for the hobbies, because that's what it is. It is 13. We want kids to be in there, so there's no cursing, no smoking, no drinking, no anything. It is because we want the kids to come in there and learn. And we don't have a set schedule, because everybody kind of does it when they can. But you could just pop on. If you follow, you'll be notified when somebody gets on, and we'll even go to the shows. In fact, I may end up streaming the show on the hobby channel when I go to the show. If I can get a good connection there, I may end up just streaming it. And we'll do that. People, they'll take their RCs out and go out and fly them wherever they're going to go, and they're streaming the whole time. So on the weekends, you get that kind of stuff, and during the week, you get people teaching you how to do stuff, and you can ask questions, and they'll tell you how they're doing it. They'll teach you what they're doing, and that's strictly what the channel is, to teach and trying to get crossovers, because all of us realize, in fact, there was one thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to create, and I don't want to give it away, but it literally somebody from each hobby was going to work on this one project. We were going to pass it around, and at the very end, we were going to have a finished project that all of us in the different hobbies had done something to, and then we were going to raffle it off for somebody so they could get it.
I love
it. We had the train community, the diorama community, we had the RC community, we had the modeling group, painters, and It was like 7 people that are going to get together and do this project, just to show that the communities can come together and work on something together. So that's the whole point of it. So
that's so cool. And
yeah, I love it.
The channel's called the Hobby Channel.
It's called the Hobby Channel, all one word. But
on TikTok.
You can't miss it because it's a cartoon squirrel holding a truck. And the reason why I came up with a squirrel is because we're hobbyists. We're always squirreling. So I thought that would be a good little logo for it.
I love it. Yeah. I just love that you're giving back. It's not all about growing Wetwork. You're passing along information and you're engaging all these other disciplines in the community. So great job for you and good on you for doing that. I am curious, do you have a vision for Wetwork? What you'd like to see maybe 5 years from now? Like where can you take this thing? This has got so much potential because of your passion.
To be honest with you, I don't want to make $1 million at it. I want to be able to create stuff that can go around the world that kids can have. Like, do you remember the Matchbox Garage? We were kids. I mean, yep. I don't know what it was. It was a piece of plastic and gravity to roll the cars down. There was nothing to it, but for some reason, anybody that you mention it to, they're like, I remember that because it was that important to them at that time. I want to create something like that. I don't care if people remember my name after I'm gone. I don't care if they know who I am. I have no interest in any of that. I just want to get products out to people that they can enjoy, or they can get into the hobby and want to try to do it themselves to maybe make the hobby easier for them to do some things that they couldn't do before. Rust is something that's very difficult if you don't know how to do it. I created a very easy way to do it to help people out. And that's what I want to do. I just want to be able to provide this stuff to people that normally couldn't do it themselves, and just something that they'll remember. They're not going to remember. I don't know if you remember where you got stuff from as a kid, where you learned how to do techniques. I don't remember the people, but somebody taught me. And that's all I want to do is just get some stuff out there to the people in the community, and hopefully that they'll enjoy it and maybe even pass it on, because I know that everybody's buying a lot of stuff overseas because it's a lot cheaper, but people like me, we're artisans. We work with our hands. It takes longer. Yes, it's more expensive being built here, but it's going to last a lot longer. I have a customer that I built a house for 10 years ago that still has it, and it's still in decent condition. And that's what I want, to be able to let them have something they can pass on.
Craig's got it figured out. He's got it all figured out.
I would. You said something very important there that I want to make sure people understand too, is like you said, you're an artisan. This is not a mass-produced kit. This is not something that is just stamped out of a factory. People are buying art from you. This is something that is hand-designed. You pack each box yourself. This is somebody who's really putting their heart and soul into these kind of things. Like that. This is not just a kit or whatever. This is somebody passing on some art to you, especially if they hire you to do something one-off. That is art. Absolutely. Even the build it yourself kits have a certain homemadeness to them, that uniqueness to them, that artistic edge to them that a lot of the more mass-produced things hit. So for me personally, I don't mind paying that extra bit because I get that little extra feel good thing that I've got something that is very low production, that's very custom designed, that is going to create something that looks better than one of those pre-manufactured kits. And those are great. We talked with Diecast Dude the last episode that aired since we were recording about these mass-produced kits, and they're great for what they are, and they are at very reasonable price points, but they do not look and they do not last like these things do, and they don't have that bit of customizability too, because you're looking at these kits and the kits themselves are very easy to assemble, the laser cut ones, and again, something that people can just do with basic wood glue or white glue or the special laser cut glue that's out there. But it's fun. I always tell people, well, if you can put a puzzle together, you can build a model. You just have to take your time, do step by step, light touch, and it is a little more complicated than a puzzle, but in many ways it's not, because you've got instructions telling you what to do. But it's worth checking out. It's worth investing in, because you're not just buying something, you're investing in the community. And as we put more money into companies like yours, you're able to develop new products, make things better, which raises the bar everywhere. Because then even the mass produced guys realize, oh, well, there's people doing these extra features or going the extra mile. We've got to step up our game to match this as well. So it does really lift all boats when it comes to investing in something like Wetwork or some of the other builders and more artisan type companies that we've had on the show that are more one-offs or mom and pop or small organizations doing these really cool things. So again, folks, it's something that I highly recommend you check out. Even if you don't have the means, go over, check it out, sign up for email, follow them on social. You're gonna pick up a lot of cool stuff, and then when that time comes, you'll know exactly who to call.
You brought up a good point too, because one thing I do is I try to work with small businesses, because this way the small businesses can work together to try to create something, and so I work with a number of them for different things, and I enjoy that. Just small businesses trying to help each other out and help the community. So if there's anybody that owns a business that's kind of into this stuff or what have you, contact me. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can get out there for people and provide a service or what have you. Contact me. I'm all in.
Yeah. And I know we can't really talk much about it right now, but I do want to tell people that Wetwork Kustoms is something that you definitely want to watch, because you're not just working with small businesses too. We've danced around it a little bit, but you've got a partnership with another friend of ours that's coming up. And I know we can't really say anything about it right now, but can we at least say who you're working with?
I think you can go ahead and do that.
All right. Well, from what I hear, go ahead.
Drum roll.
You can say it.
I got contacted by Louis Denohara to work on some stuff for him and the Cartuned franchise. So I have done that, and we'll be continuing to do some of that in the near future. And you guys will be seeing that sometime next year.
That is so cool. And again, shout out to Louis, because he is another artist and he likes supporting fellow artists. And I'm thrilled that he was able to find you and connect with you and have that extra community touch in there. So again, I don't have to tell people to keep an eye on Cartuned. Everybody is talking about Cartuned. It gets a ton of traction, a ton of posts. It's been a really polarizing thing in the community. I mean, I would say 95%, if not 99% of people like it.
Yeah.
And there's a few haters out there, but it's just enough to stoke the fires and keep things interesting. But, I don't know how people can be mad at these adorable cars. And it's so cool that you guys are going to be working together, because you're both people that I really admire. I know that he's done some work too with Hayden over at HHW Kustoms as well, letting them work on some custom pieces for the Cartoon products. And I can't wait for you to finally reveal in the future. We'll be able to talk about it but,
in due time.
It's a really cool thing that's worth following. So watch this space, because people are very interested in Wetwork, and not just the small guys. The big guys are starting to take notice. And again, that's just a testament to your work and your innovation, that Louis saw that talent in you and you putting yourself out there, and you were rewarded for it.
It's a lot of fun. I told Louis on the phone, I said, understand something. I know who you are, what you've done, everybody knows what you've done, but I'm not going to treat you any different than I'm going to treat John from Denver. It's everybody is the same, is equal. I don't care where you're from, where you're living, what you've done. Everybody is equal to me when it comes to doing the projects. And he's like, good, treat me like that. And everything worked out fantastic so far. So I love working with people and being able to talk to them about their visions, and everybody's going to be treated the same. So give us a call. Let's see what we can do for you.
Absolutely. And go by and see him at Modelpalooza. Shake his hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, let's real quick remind folks where they can find you, follow you, all that good stuff.
Well, you can hit my website at wetworkkustoms.com. That's customs with a K. You can find me at Wetwork Kustoms on TikTok and on Facebook as well. I also have my own. I started a group, Wetwork Kustoms, I think 164 24, 118 scale items where you can buy and sell if you want to. Otherwise, it's just posting your stuff. I'm also Wetwork Kustoms on YouTube. Haven't done a whole lot on that yet, but I'm about to start so people can follow me there. So you can find me pretty much on everything but X at this point, only because I haven't had time.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people have time for X anymore, but
Right.
yeah, I'm glad that there's plenty of other wonderful platforms out there that they can find you on. And again, I recommend people do that. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to get to see some really cool stuff that he's doing. The airplane hangar that we've talked about, the garage door stuff. You can find a lot of teaser images there. And I think people are going to be blown away when they see those things in person at Modelpalooza. All right. Well, again, make sure you check out Wetwork Kustoms. We'll have links to Craig's stuff in the description. So definitely check those out. Find him, follow him. You're going to have a really great time getting to know him and seeing the cool stuff he has to offer. I also highly recommend the Hobby channel on TikTok. That's another great way to learn some new things and meet some really cool people in a variety of disciplines. I always encourage people who are doing customs to look at other builders in other styles, whether they're doing tabletop gaming or they're doing armor builds or they're doing Gundams, whatever. There's always something to learn in these other hobbies. It's definitely worth checking out. And while you're checking things out, I want to thank you again for liking, sharing, subscribing, especially sharing. That is a really good way to help this show grow. We had our buddy Tom that we talked about in the last episode about dioramas. We talked about his builds and he shared it and has gotten us a lot of traction on the site. We're really grateful to Tom for sharing the episodes, and you can be like Tom too. And if you like this episode or you liked other stuff that we're doing, you can check out other videos on our channel. That also really helps. We've got build videos, reviews. We're doing community posts about diecast news that Phia's doing, and he's doing a great job at those. And again, check out drivendreams.org and help us raise 24,000 cars for kids in need around the world. It's a really cool project. We've been working with some really cool people, and follow them on Instagram and on YouTube. That is a really good way to stay up to speed with them. Thank you once again to our patrons and all the other folks that make the show go. Again, you can click the join button or visit diecastbreakdown.com. And if you want to join the ranks of the Diecast Media Network, we're always looking for new creators that want to help build the hobby and share what they want, but don't want to go through the trouble of putting together a YouTube channel themselves. So if that sounds like you, we'd love to talk to you. You can email diecastmedianetwork@gmail.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. And again, if you've made it to the end of the episode, make sure you leave a comment that says you made it to the end. That's always makes my day when I see that people made it all the way to the end of the episode. And I hope we've done that for you today. And as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to DieCast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find DieCast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. DieCast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the DieCast Media Network.